Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yanni, and today I kind of just wanted to speak in regards to it being November, and November is Epilepsy Awareness Month. And my child does not have epilepsy, but she gets febrile seizures. And I just kind of wanted to raise some awareness of what you can do, some tips if you see this happen to your child, what you can do, because it's a very scary thing, and it's nothing to be messed with. And my child has had a few, so I just kind of want to let other people know what to do. I was scared to death when it happened, and it was her second one. Her dad was with her when she had her first one, and it's just a lot. So I'm going to try to climb right in because I am recording in my lunch break and I don't have much time. I am working from home, but I work for a call center, so I get incoming calls. It's not like I can do work a little bit here and a little bit there. It's within the hours I have to be on the phone. So the first thing is my daughter has febrile seizures, not epilepsy, like I mentioned in the beginning. And if she gets one more, I might diagnose her epileptic. So I hoping they do not, and hopefully she does not have any other. But just some tips of what to do. So her first febrile seizure she had was with when she was actually with her father, and they were leaving the doctor's office. Had just started a new job in January of that year, and it was March. And I asked him, hey, can you take our daughter to the doctors, because daycare had called and said she had a fever. And he said, okay. So, he took her. Normally, I'm the one that always goes with her to the appointments, but I, couldn't leave my job. So, he gladly did it. And he was there. She had about 103 fever at the time, and her heart rate was a little high, but, they weren't concerned because they just thought it was a fever, it was a virus. Okay. So the story he tells me is he's leaving the office and he gets to the car, puts her in the car seat. They start driving, and we have a like a mirror that you can see the back. And sorry, I have notes. I might have like my pen, sorry. And he told me he saw her like head go down, and then he didn't think anything. He was, wow, she already fell asleep. And when he looked deeper, he saw her like shaking, and he's like, Bella, and like immediately turned right back around, because he was still like within the parking lot driving when he was looking back. And he said he turned around so fast, he parked the car. However, he grabbed her out of the car seat while she was still shaking, and he was so fast that the automatic doors didn't even open. He had to punch it. Luckily, there was a doctor that was leaving for the day, and I worked on labor and delivery, and I've heard about this pediatrician before, his name, and I still am grateful to him for this day. He was leaving the office, and as soon as my husband yelled, help me, he said the doctor threw his stuff on the floor, his jacket, his briefcase, and took my daughter from my husband, and it was just like chaos from there. They got her into a room. She was still seizing. They were doing chest rubs, and my husband was just like in shock. He didn't know what to do. And they kept asking him questions like, has she seized before? No, and no. So while this is happening, she wasn't responding to the chest rubs right away. And sorry, I might get a little shaky in my voice because it is kind of, nerve-wracking, but she wasn't responding. And finally she started crying and responding, and he believes it probably lasted like about 3 minutes, her first febrile seizure. And it luckily, I thank God that they were right next to the doctor's office, that they were still there, because I don't know what would have happened if, like how his reaction would have been if he's on the road. And I get a text. So I'm leaving my job it was like, I think I used to leave at 4:00. I get a text, and maybe it was 5:00, 4 or 5, I can't remember. And where I'm at, I was in a parking garage, and in the parking garage, you never get messages. So I was surprised that a message came through, and I look, and I'm like, all I see my husband text me is Bella. And then he said, like I don't think he could even form the words. It was just like good, go. And I'm just trying to figure out, because it's like one line Texas, and I was like, does he mean Bella's good? Okay. And so then I didn't really think anything of it. I'm stuck in the parking garage trying to get out, mind you, during this. I was like, okay. I get a phone call from him, and he said, hey, Bella had a seizure. I immediately died inside, like, because I was in shock. I wasn't there for my baby, so it was hard. I compose myself, and I'm stuck in this garage, this parking garage, and I can't even get to her. He told me that the doctor's office had called an ambulance, and they were on their way to. They were waiting for the ambulance, and they were going to be on the way to the hospital. And so, he told me what hospital. I kid you not, I sped there and got there before the ambulance. And I'm here waiting, and I'm telling the person, my daughter's coming through ambulance, my daughter's coming through ambulance. And she wasn't there yet. They said, oh, we'll let you know right away. And I'm just like pacing and just like didn't know what to do. My husband was with her at the time, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Finally, like maybe 7-10 minutes, which felt like 3 hours waiting for them to say, oh, she's here in this room, and someone to direct me back. I get to the hospital room, and my daughter sees me and like kind of reacted. Like my husband was laying with her, had her on top of him, and holding her, hugging her, and she, he was telling me, like, when I said, oh hi, and mama, what's going on? She didn't really. She was looking at me. She was alert, but she didn't respond. She wouldn't talk. She wasn't talking yet. And that was kind of concerning, because normally they say when you get out of a febrile seizure, like, or any type of seizure, like you could usually talk and stuff. You might just be a little bit confused. And it was already half an hour after the incident, maybe for half an hour, 35 minutes. And she wasn't talking. She wouldn't talk. And normally I had, when she was breastfeeding, I had taught her to do like this for leche, which is breast milk. And she sitting on me, she would look at my boobs, and like, she couldn't like grasp to tell me she wants she wants to nurse, because she's obviously not, feeling too good. So I nursed her. I was like, okay, I'm a nurse. And, a couple minutes later, like my husband's family all got there, and she started to like talk a little bit, like just say like one words. So I was like, oh my gosh, finally. Like I thought something was wrong with her brain. Like I didn't know. I never had kids. I never knew anyone who experienced this. And I was just scared. I'm a first time mom. Like it was just shocking. So finally they're like, oh, this is a normal thing. You can take her home and watch her, and you can stay overnight if you don't think she's like, right back to normal. And I'm like, no, she's not back. Like she was finally getting there, but it took a long time. So we did stay overnight, and her, I think it was her left eye, when she was like finally active and talking and everything while in the hospital room, she kept like twitching it. Like every so often she'd twitch it. So I had to video record it because they did not want to like do an MRI. And then once the resident saw like what I was talking about, because she wasn't doing it all the time, it would just be a random, like her eyelid wasn't like going back to normal like it should be. And I was just like, I don't know. I thought I just saw that, but then everyone was telling me, no, I see that's happening. So they did an MRI in the morning, and God, just the MRI alone, I almost had a heart attack, because, you leave your baby sleeping, and they have to do it sleeping. And when she woke up, which took a long time for her to wake up from her MRI. So I see why they didn't really want to do it right away, but that's a whole nother issue. But they did say from like the brain images, I'm not really a technologist, so I'm not sure, but they said that they could see that she had a flare, which would mean she had a seizure. And so it was scary, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, so they told us what to look out for. They say normally what happens is your child seizes first before you even know they're sick, and then a couple of days later, like they'll have the cough and the runny nose. But she had like a fever on and off, coming and going, and didn't really have a cough. So it just, I guess, was some type of virus. The next seizure she had was a month after. almost a month. It wasn't quite a month, but a month after. And I was home with her, and my husband was home as well. And she had just woken up from a nap, and I picked her up and I was like, "Oh my God, she is so hot." She was 104. I checked her temperature. She was 104. And I quickly got the Motrin and like in the syringe, put it in her mouth. And she was just like, I could just see in her eyes like something wasn't right. So 2 minutes. So I'm here with the Motrin. I give it to her and I'm just rocking her a little bit to soothe her. And I look at her like, and she looks at me and it's like she looked through me. Like her eyes was like, and she just went back and started seizing. And that was 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes after I had given her Motrin. And I start screaming, "Alex, like, Bella's having a seizure. Call 911." Like, I didn't even know what to do, but I remember because I worked in healthcare, was lay her down on a soft spot, put her on the side, make sure she can't like move anywhere. So I had her on the sofa. She was small enough to go to the sofa, and I had like her on her back, and she wasn't like convulsing like crazy. Like I thought, people like convulse like crazy, like what you see in TV and the movies. That's what I was expecting, but it was like very rhythmic. Like it was horrible. And I remember trying to call 911, and I couldn't understand why my phone wasn't working. Well, 911's number is 911. It's not 921. And I was shaking so bad trying to call. I ended up calling 921 and it just said like, your call can't be. And I was like, what? And so I told my husband, it's not working, call 9. And so like then I end up like calming down a little bit. I end up calling 911, and so does my husband. And we're both on the phone with two first responders, and they're asking me questions like, is she breathing? I was like, I don't know, I see bubbles coming out of her mouth. I think she's breathing because they told me put like my finger under her nose, and I was like, I don't really know, I can't tell if she's breathing or not. But because she had the bubbles and she was still moving, she wasn't turning any colors, they were sending people. Mind you, I'm on the phone. 11 minutes later, first responders get here. I don't know if it's because it's her second seizure and if they're thinking, oh, it's a febrile seizure, she'll be fine. Like, I don't know. I was scared to death. It was the first time I seen this happen to my daughter. And we live 7 minutes away from the hospital. I probably could have drove her, but I know that's not what you should do, because in case she does have something, that needs intervention right away, I can't. Anyways, that's a whole nother issue. But the paramedics get here, and I'm very grateful. She had just woken up. She started this time though. She was much different from her first one. She was more responsive. She was crying right away. She was talking. So it was like relief. I felt better. Her eyes were okay. Nothing, so I was just like, oh my gosh. So what they told us to do from now on is, if she gets sick, we have to give her, when she has a fever, give her Motrin and Tylenol right away. What's happening with her specific febrile seizures is she'll be like at 98.6 and then go to 105, 106, because the other time she's gone up to 107 but hadn't seized. But I guess this time, like, I don't know, she was at 104. I had just checked her before her nap. She was like 98.6. Half an hour later, she was 104. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like a big difference. So I have to give her Motrin and Tylenol now right away and check her temperature within like 20 minutes. And, it should, with both of them, it should go down. And then I can continue one or the other, whichever is better. Either, not better, but like I can give her Tylenol after the, 4 hours, I think it is, and then the Motrin after the 6 hours, and just I can keep switching the two. But the first like initial thing that we think, oh, we feel she has a fever, they said give her both medications right away. So I was like, okay. So I get home and she was okay. They asked us if we wanted to stay again. I just felt like, we'll watch her at home, because when we stayed at the hospital the first time, they were waking her up every 4 hours, and it was just like to take vital signs, and she needs her sleep, especially after you have a seizure. But I understand it's protocol. So I was confident, we felt okay just taking her home and watching her and, letting her sleep, not interrupt her. We did notice after the second seizure, she was doing, and I don't know what this is. We still are in the process of trying to figure out what it was after almost 2 years. She would be standing or like eating, and all of a sudden she'd get stuck like for a few seconds and then it'd go. And I'm just like, what in the world? And we've been seeing a neurologist for it. So actually we have a neurology appointment next month, so hopefully that looks okay. But she did this after this seizure, and it for weeks. It kind of, after like maybe a couple months, went away on its own. The doctor thought it was something called CMS. It's I'm sorry, not CMS, stereotypies, which is like that they're doing it on their own because it feels good, but it stops randomly, so we really don't know if that's what it was or not. And stereotypies is something that isn't really, it's also rare, like a lot of kids don't have it. It's actually, when you Google it, comes up a lot of animals. So yeah, it's really strange. I'll have to do a research on that as well. Like, I've done it, but just see if there's anything more recent. But she'll just be like, and then it's done, and then she eat, and I'm like, I don't think that's like her doing it, because it was really strange. And I caught videos, and that's how I showed the neurologist, and that's what she thought. They know more than me. I don't know. And it's something that's not really known. So we're still in the process of getting that. But I wanted to give advice on that. Like, if you see your child seizing, I know it's difficult. Try to stay calm and call 911. That's like my best advice. Also, if you see them getting a fever, see if you can, do both the Tylenol and Motrin, as long as they're not, allergic or something, and see if that helps with their seizures. I've known other people in the past, like, once I told them that, they're like, oh my God, since I've been doing both at the same time, my child hasn't had a seizure. And that feels good because it works. Hopefully, if your child is experiencing febrile seizures, that, you do seek help, continue going to the neurologist, even if it's once a year, just to make sure. Definitely look for those cues, like, okay, the doctor told me, oh, it's fine, it's normal, whatever. To me, your brain going ballistic is not normal, but definitely watch over the cues, like if your child has a fever, if they're not feeling good. My child has a sniffle, I check her temperature right away. I like monitor her, and it's just because I'm so scared. Like, I'm so scared she's going to get diagnosed with being epileptic because of these fevers. Hopefully she doesn't, and she has had fevers after both of these episodes, and I caught it right away, gave her Motrin Tylenol, and she hasn't seized, so it's been working good for us. And I just wanted to bring awareness, especially since 1 in 26 Americans develop epilepsy. So definitely trying to get the research out there to hopefully figure out like what's going on is definitely something that we do need to work on. If my story would help you or someone with these with a child with febrile seizures, I hope that my story does work. And don't, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. Do what your doctor says. This is just what my experience, what my doctor told us to do, and it's been working. I hope to see you guys in the next video, and I am just looking forward to being as transparent, and it's such a great community being on YouTube and helping each other out with questions and concerns. You have to it's word of mouth is the best sometimes, and I feel like us helping each other out, no matter what it is something beneficial. I hope to see you guys in the next video. And if you're liking my videos, please subscribe and click on the bell so anytime I post a video, you don't miss it. So have a good day, and love you guys.